Hey, welcome back. Today, let's talk about three clues of what we're going to see of commonalities with cults as we're looking through the Lori Vallow-Daybell trial. And then I want to tell you a story, briefly kind of summarize a story of an early concern with Lori's cousin, and as they lived together, just starting a young adult life out of high school. So, hey, if you like this content, please hit the like button and subscribe. My channel is geared more around the joy of growing food, gardening, and my new adventure of starting a flower farm, a cut flower farm. So, I may be stretching when I say farm, but I went ahead and put that word into my mind and idea to start small and grow. And so that's where we're going with that. But today we're going to talk about Lori Vallow. It's a very sad case. So I'm not going to review it. I feel like if you've come to this channel for this information, then you know quite a bit about this trial. Okay, three of the commonalities that we see with people that can be leaders in a cult. First, and very important, is they're authoritative. Second, which is also very important, is that they have means or have learned some way or taking advantage of others to live off of their money rather than providing for yourself and earning an income. And the third, which kind of feeds into the second one, is extra time that's not allocated toward something productive, valuable, just some extra time in your life. And then I want to tell you the story. So first, it's probably pretty obvious, but we can talk about being authoritarian is basically feeling like you're superior to anyone else, whatever ideas they have. You always feel like the best person in the room, the most desired. Your life revolves around yourself and your perception. If you want, like, one of the things that we hear often is that people adored within the family Lori for her caring and being a doting mom and being patient with her children, especially with she and Charles adopting JJ with special needs. So she gained a lot of external rewards by others desiring of your young woman, desiring to be charming and pretty and put together, and men desired her often as a striking appearance that they could see. She took time to take good care of herself and present herself well. There's absolutely a downside, which we're about to talk about. And then the concept of living off of somebody else's money, whether it's working to, like, it was a huge amount of money I felt like that she was able to get from the government from Tylee's biological father that had died, which there are some questions surrounding that. And probably more importantly is the amount of monthly money that she received from our government for the care of a special needs child, or JJ. And then to add on top of that, her husband, Charles Vallow, was making very good money and traveled a lot. Um, and he was also, it seems like he was fairly generous. One of the things I picked up on is that he paid the telephone bills, cellular telephone bills, for an extended part of the family. Um, so that gives me an idea that he's quite generous, and he also became, which we're typically calling Mormons. The church is asking that be referred to as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So people typically will refer to it as LDS. And he chose to become a part of that faith because he felt like it was important to Lori early on. So let's talk about the one story that I wanted to share that actually kind of weaves in some of these things. Her cousin chose to live with, and this is something this family seems to do often with other extended family, living with other family members. So I find that interesting, we'll just say, kind of out of the norm for most of our culture. But Lori moved to Austin to live with her brother Adam. And Adam had at that time gained a little notoriety around his work in radio. So he was beginning to see some success and a little notoriety. So Lori moved to Austin to live with him. Now, if I've gotten parts of this story correct, please leave it in the comments. I appreciate your corrections. I've had difficulty with a type of stroke that impacted my speech and processing, and so I'm working hard and to, there we go. If I talk about it, there's a blank. Yeah, I'm working hard to bring back those skills, and I see progress. It's also frustrating when there are times that it's blank. It's just blank in your mind. But I'm learning to just laugh and not take it so seriously. And then other times I get very frustrated when that happens. Well, that's probably more often than not. But back to our story. So Lori had moved in with Adam in Austin, and she and her cousin, which is I believe it's Janice's brother's child. But I'll look back and see what the exact family relation connection is there. But Lori moved in with Adam, and then the cousin moved in with those. So there are three young people. They're just starting out and living maybe more with Adam's means at that time. But the two girls got a part-time job, both of them at the same tanning salon. So that's kind of the setup of what's going on in the very young, just out of high school kind of time frame in their lives. And one thing that happened, which I guess happened a lot, because she said that, Adam would take them to different clubs, and since he had some notoriety, that was exciting for young ladies. But she said while they were working at the tanning salon, as often people do, young guy around their age would kind of hang around and talk, and eventually asked Lori out on a date. So Lori accepted, and after the date, she shares with her cousin that this guy was really not her type. Kind of dorky, and some of the just just kind of not a guy that she wants to continue to date. So that sets up the situation that the guy returns to the tanning salon fairly often to talk. And one day she said she thought Lori was in the back catching up on some of their laundry, some of the things that they're doing. And this same guy asked Lori's cousin out for a date. And so she said, yeah, sure. And she knew that Lori didn't have much interest in him. So she thought, okay, maybe he's my type. So they went out on the date, and actually the cousin kind of had the same impression that Lori had. Um, Not a very engaging kind of person, a little bit on the dorky side, not not as much of a looker, handsome young man that they aspired to be with. So when she, after that date, she said Lori had a lot of questions she wanted to ask about where they went, what they did, what kind of music did you listen to? What were your conversations about? She said just pretty intensely inquisitive. And so she said, she answered those questions. She explained to Lori, it's not kind of the guy for me either. And she felt like that those conversations were kind of normal, that things that you would talk about with your cousin that you live with. And she said that the thing is that those questions kind of continued. Sometimes the same question again, sometimes a few more questions. And then she said one day that she said, come on. And this was like maybe just a week later. It was a very short time. Come on, ride with me. We're going to go pick up Lori's mom, Janice, at the airport, and she's flying in to see us. She was like, oh, okay, cool. So they're driving to the airport, and she said again, Lori begins to ask her more questions about this guy and more about what they actually did on the date, like prying kind of questions. So she sort of went through the scenario again to remind Lori it's not somebody she's really interested in. But she decided to go on the date to find out. And she said that they picked up Janice from the airport. And when they picked up Janice, there was a complete 180 turn in the way that Janice and Lori treated her. She said she was attacked and was ultimately told immediately to move, to move, like not just plan next month, let's see if we can find you a spot, because this is kind of not working out, but to go in and pack her bags and to get the cousin out of Lori's life. And that reveals quite a lot as a young woman, that problem solving, conflicts of, like, say a healthy way maybe to handle that. As you're learning, we all have issues and make some pretty big mistakes, but hopefully we learn from those. So I would just share maybe a healthier way is maybe the scenario goes, let's set it up just as it went, but as Lori began to notice her feelings of like a slap in the face, I was slotted because that was my boyfriend and my cousin went out with him. So apparently there were some strong feelings there. Rather than being honest and open and valuing her cousin to the point of saying, it surprised me. I kind of have these feelings, and then express what they are, and then they can talk about them, see if they're realistic or not, and honor your cousin rather than treating it as a competition and taking it very personal, which is typical of someone that's very authoritarian. They are the center of their world. Will often, people are referring to her by a term of narcissistic, which we don't know exactly what official diagnosis that she has. But so that's one of the big keys, is the person is absorbed with themselves, wanting to be the best looking, hence the pageant that she participated in, being on Jeopardy. No, not Jeopardy, excuse me. Wheel of Fortune. Okay. And pursuing things for attention, especially attention for her appearance and attention for her polished, kind of well groomed way of flashing people's smiles and making shallow connections with others. And so that's just a touch. If you want to find out more, I will share that Hidden True Crime with Lauren and her husband, that she calls Dr. Babe, is a forensic psychologist. He's very good. If you like the deep dive and learning more about the family, which gives us opportunities to learn about kind of what to avoid. And when you see these kinds of characteristics in maybe extended family or a friend group, then using a way to speak wisdom. And if you can do that, it's very effective if you start early on, having authentic and a trusting relationship, which obviously you need to ask for their input and open up and be a vulnerable person, which is hard at that young age. It's hard. But most young adults have gone through quite a lot of reprimands, stepping and seeing, what is acceptable, what's not, kind of pushing the limits, and adults following up with and kindness and love, and pointing out kind of the long-term effects of what these things are signaling. I mean, just some of that basics. It doesn't have to be elaborate, and you don't have to learn those things early in life. You can continue to learn and continue to learn, and that's part of what has been engaging with this trial, is that it's hard for our minds to comprehend in a logical way how a person can go from what's being described as a very good mother and a personable type of person who, excuse me, makes you feel good about yourself, enjoys your company, and then it's hard for our minds to make that leap of how can someone be this type of person and morph into a murderous mother. It's just beyond what we would typically think of. So it gives us opportunities to learn and guard ourselves with more information. But also, I'm wanting to kind of share ways of gently confronting people that are within your sphere of influence, and not being afraid to do that, because it is very important. If you see how, I mean, looking at Lori Vallow, how her desires and passions just ran amok, and it was all about herself. And, it just gives us some ideas, and I want you to share your ideas. What do you find most concerning about Lori Vallow, or also Chad Daybell? We have his trial coming up. And I'll try to do a few more of these videos to kind of share some of my thoughts if you're interested. And please, thanks for taking the time to subscribe. I notice we have several more subscribers. And and give me a like if you want more content like this. Again, my typical channel is going to be about growing plants, the joy of growing your own food, the joy of the process of plants and what they need to thrive, and how it's a learning experience. So often you have many failures, and trying to figure out, what happened with those, and how does this type of plant, this type of seed need different care from others. It's just an exciting experience. So thanks for watching, and thanks for putting a like and subscribing to my channel. And I wish you well. I hope you have a great day. So see you soon.